unjustified, unproven crime. Na Ekoba say in transiting a certain country, Ekoba say Ebima give you was already on wanted list. Ebima give Omukra Baha, Intinia Finance top Antina Finanto top list. So and ya didn't quite no Mukochi no. The whole thing Kwame settles and borders on the fact say was he already American Fona Kata either than say yes romance camp, either than say Nijin Abon Sembi. From the fact they extradited it does not mean. A lot of people have also been extradited and they were just set free. Americans with the Madu, Akotna, America, temporary, your friend is a detention. Only prison or temporary detention. Because I say the Omoba pet charges that he charges the above papa.
Abujancho, Mebato Farouk Wahab, blasted, the extradition, who said someone and saying, as a FBI for Chese, the Ghana. I say highway be any much show me and once or more sway and call for you quite as one for your same way. It was in the same way. Farouk Wahab Chimwa, as a Ghanaian authorities, they are not really showing a concern be, and with that, no, why disappointed in Ghana and penny for say, I say, oh, mama, mindful be Afro Ghana citizens, no, to say, and more tears, especially in a concern, with okay Frimpong. Honorable okay Frimpong Asante Achim North MP in same as CCC the Agyapong because Obra recently na same story be by say the Dutch authorities etimi ekotena say the court Emma omo grante the okay Frimpong ne extradition FBI for extradition request no say omo fani free the Holland ho no mutimi emfa nko US no nko free emra now no specific and I just say Farouk Wahab etimi react now asem shia and net day that's sorry yet to say Abu Trica me patcho or also finally news are air confirm say indeed Abu Trica or also FBI for etimia tebrino edna kupiemu ewu US. Now Abu Trica de no a questionable kakre because this is a man I know also a fight the extradition case no Emma the last time you who Abu Trica will court a video we are no one in a court ho. Now, interestingly, video and I drop say Abu Trica so yet made the corner suggest say the last time you Abu Trica na all court no one Kofi once son who at the corner nation who video no and one and a video a leaky from the airport a brand near no HR flight akono Sata na nation. Now back here the last time or court in the lawyers Ebeka say court airborne extradition move na nasa appeal na no yes yem block the extradition enguno ye bogu ye better be bogu ye no empanifo taache no what as the authorities SH no court premises so from there the lawyers any family name hu ni biem kosi se eno ada de beche ene the 9th of July 2026 yetimi edi Abu Trica akopiem videos any news are air ban say finally ono ye de neko ena okay Frimpong so reporter no so aba say death court atnase am ruling grant the FBI for extradition request so no so yentimi mfa nenko Sansemu ena buzunya atrigger Farouk Wahab which him say Ghanaian authorities were disappointed because as a omo share dan show interest say omo ye willing so be defend Ghana for in fact especially with okay Frimpong as at the time we could diplomatic passport as a sitting MP ye ni as am mindful be afa na samples and was say anhwa ebekwa aba dako sampanifo no mayi wo mani ebusia de bedi wo now Farouk Wahab de ebo mienu ekum no ma baako the extradition sense no one side albeit. Now concerning the South Africa xenophobia, no means recently the June 30th a deadline on mine and so eson emanance on TC street ama ya tete report say o masan so edidi de nyambran sem bia Ghana fo bi so ho akwakam ade abusia no so Farouk Wahab ehase ne nkomo no efi the South Africa xenophobia ansem a o chim say eno sa xenophobia ansem o say ye ka the South African president Ramaphosa also on a complicit was answer one Ekosiisen ontimi nka so obeyi nani anase onim ho hwe wo se wono say ye ka xenophobia na ekona the South African president oka ho bi odi fowum abusia Farouk Wahab ema details enti abusia yenko ne enti ensem no Farouk Wahab from South Africa xenophobia ansem ene the extradition as nansen FBI for the Ghana efo egura to prenie ye namu ane say ye ho ye kwa as akoko bi as we nini ena chese FBI for no akroma omo ho ye kosa sanse mu na ebusia ama Farouk Wahab bedwa ono keke kan adwen de che Ghanaian authority say it feels like they are not doing enough to show say indeed on betimi so protect Ghana yen dignity as a ama FBI for any or mindful be betimi afa say the omope.
One South African issue, certainly no, and then and it's because the political will is not there, and the political will says the government of Cyril Ramaphosa on the emergency of a trouble, what he's seeking to do, and he said there, only be Jacob Zuma on the state of emergency, and then Jacob Zuma that corruption charges, and the last ending, it ended up abruptly. Let us not forget the Kwame party a vote of no confidence. Eddie Tabo Mbeki, Eddie Zuma by. Now, Ramaphosa, as everybody knows, ideally, no, Colonel de Obian said, or white potato, or near Abofone and which in the background in history, Ramaphosa, when during the ANC time crown, he supported the whites at the point against his own blacks. And that is it. Osha said, our pending and impending issue are related to the Sikabia on the food, £4 million. Any other currencies, they can undisclose sum of amount. That amount, that issue was pending in a court. Leading to that, the last election year, and then they caught the second term. At that time, everybody feels that Ramaphosa was actually heading to jail to some extent. Or you see the same strategies of what is happening today, and now or it can scale it out. And my election, or when he nearly lost, but to whom was the issue? Now, Ramaphosa said, within the Ekosiisen, is aware, and everybody knows, South Africans know, Jacob Zuma AU2 at the second term election. And back to back, about 5 major ones now, Omaye called the xenophobic attack. All of them were somehow sponsored by the ANC government. But the point is that Kwame is the shape any ANC government ever since Mr. Mandela, Namifani KNC, were free out 94 now. Obey the Danima double biki after his first 5 years now our brain. Papa Nebaeno, he was very clear with his message. He said, any idea obey developmental project, any program to be a he said yes. The enemy is not yet to go now. Now idea never to be my hand, the institutional change and infusing the South African blacks who owns the land and after the majority citizens now Omoya outcasted and Omo South African race in Omo. I don't know about fix you to government agencies, government offices, government institutions who introduce you. And it took a time. Why not radical approach? So baby a bibini or permanent there be or the bibini question asset. And the baby is a bibini or no the brunia besham. So Kofi say what Tim said the Ono Ankasa FR 2 vice president. A man it me they run in a 2 years, 3 years time and the clerk a film. Because now Brophonic and said, yeah, blacks and Guachebecan and a Holland government that advising on the film, a better on name, their friends, a taboo biki. Watch that systematically. Financial employment, which is the key issue here of the fight. ANC successive governments from 1994 to today, Omintimi added the stock value of even 2 to 3, called 5% of employment. In any field, employment in an was still the employment created by the whites, by the Indians, and then the later day thing, which I refer to, the foreigners, the Kwaku. A lot of them near Ghana, Fonko, Indians, when they know more than that. The Congolese, and then Cameroonian beer, or company or Limpopo, or started from ground zero, or South Africa, or ended up or employ more than 1,500 people. More than 1,000 people. He is called Toko. I personally know him in Douala, or called Ekosiisen as a teacher when they needed English masters. When they needed English masters like Ghana for the Malawian teachers, the French. They didn't want the frontline seats. Kenyan students, teachers, Nigerian students, teachers, English, home the big boy. That is how he started and became an employer of more than 1,005 company, normally beauty products. So you look at it from that point. The real indigenous of the South African, if you ask them individually, of course, it can be all South Africa. So when you're Brunei, and when you're Indian, and when you're Hokwa, any beauty when you're South Africa, we have gold money from the government across board, and none like some of ours to say, yeah, the Nkwago bit my baby because I know the Indian and for the to know the West. The South African politicians virtually nothing on one employee on yet apart from the housekeepers, any the drivers, any bill but for the security. South African politician DNY will be my pointing that. I think the only person who is our government or the baby company will a calf or more president Mutepe. Only Mutepe, and it's very few, 1 or 2 or 3, and I'm so baby system from Cape Town to Port Elizabeth, to Port Alfred, to Limpopo, to Joburg, everywhere you can stand around. Only South African be our DCCA, a wage mama food. So ideally, you know, the Indian company now, broken companies, Kakana, or my seller, or who do the South Africa, and at the Akaninan, the Federal, what you call the civil servants, and then the public servants are buying. Ain't found the human war. And in any economy of the world, including the United States, including Japan, it is not the government that creates ideally the job, but the environment is created by the government for individuals and when they pursue the agenda of the socio-economic development and then employment and all that. South Africa, they know what he. It is it's politics. It's who wins election and when and who wants to retain power. It is just like that. And normally from parliament, and you are above parliament, they don't talk. No, show. The only person vociferous to be an another, your friends, Malema. Apart from Malema, what is the South African black, any of the MP in your parliament, floor of parliament, anything to be sensible? Nothing. And their people are, of course, when the government uses such strategy to distract and then distort and to divert attention of the South Africans and their problems. And these are all the issues raised. Unemployment in Akwamoma raising, none of them stands in books. But who show over politicians who are behind, so pushing the agenda, say, yes, immigration is an American consumption day. Yes, immigration is an issue Australian day. Yes, immigration is an issue Canada on your day. Look at Canada today. The whole Canada population has not risen for even up to 2% in the last over 20 years. Who are the Canadians now? The last 20 years have registered more than close to 2 million Indians, all being Canadians, as immigrants. Why the crowd logistics in Canada? Why the crowd anything that has good transportation and then everything? BPI Indians, they know. Canadian authorities are West India for BBM the by the was a fake or more far nurses and doctors that go mobile. They ended up there almost education from the Bahunan, maybe a internet cafe. But Canada didn't sack them. They allowed them to integrate. At the end of the day, Arabs are Canadians now conform say Omo Bayo Omo and now refugee during the crisis Syria war on Dubai. Oma Bayo but the Indians that came and Canada and the immigrants and that country Biana our war for Holland. That country no come and we need to meet Pagan in 90%. Yes, of course, you would like a registered another a legal migrant. But there is no country where they can register illegal migrants from outside. The legal migrants that were one way or the other, all of them were illegal migrants. Back in Germany population called the real Germans to do as we speak. German were the illegal migrants. I know me Turkish, and they kicked in the crew for Second World War. Country bend the wood we are saying, or no, the foreigners, including United States of America, are migrants now, in illegal migrants. How do you become a legal migrant? Okay, how many people can go to South African embassy today? Or Ghana embassy anywhere? So, or before better Ghana, my resident permit and go to Ghana. Which country does that in the world? It is a world culture. It is international labor organization. They know every institution in the world, including the UN. They know that people travel out there, good or bad, whichever means. You are there. We are regularizing a document. You in DC, Europe, Holland, Germany, France, Belgium, Ghana for her, India for her. To the same set, when the French and the France I'm talking about, not in the early 90s, in the late 80s, in the 90s, they are up to the European Union. France still admitted that Obi free Mali, Obi free Burkina, Sahel for Mali, Niger, Burkina, Senegal, and then Guinea. These 5 countries. France allowed them to look in Warren.
Now, and you want a policy of assimilation, no? It's a mass I may buy.
Papa, you can partly say so. But the problem again here is that country piano or the whole and the kitchen crew. And Kwame, you are aware, you come her without making mention of any other race you Mukruma. If we are talking about today, our whisker, the woman whisker said, you can talk about Niger people are almost settled Ghana. They are richer than you and I. And it is special. So the Jew will not the statue of Bayano, won't give me a Kwame, Kumase, what are you in that? First, nothing for necessary something to atone. Won't come with something to us. Over something to atone. Father Braka, whom talking about to so much let you. Where is he where they live now? Wah, over the danceman to call a friend Akuffo. Look at the richer business in Ghana for the years in the room. Our any the same thing here to see your call will be Manswa. And yet Ghana, ya hobo, yes, okay.
A large can Adabra Council the Anaka. Who's not the one were owned by the Nigerians and other foreigners?
It's yes, Tudu was never Ghanaian. No Ghanaian wanted to go to Tudu. And then a man Dabraka, you were native Lagosians or more. Now I need to look at it from this point and you balance the equation. Shatta and Nigeria. Nigeria. It was before and during Murtala time, and then on to Shehu Shagari, Obasanjo, a time, early days of Obasanjo's coup d'etat, early days of Murtala Muhammad. Look at the time of Ghana for Kwadwo. And we are British for, to some extent, a country here, and dribble Shehu Shagari. With the idea that Nigerians were so madly lazy, they only knew that to run government in and military. And now for oil industry now. That was the only thing in Nigeria for years. Companies were not owned by Nigerians. Companies were Indian. Companies were Lebanese. Companies were other nationals. Akuffo the Kofi Nigeria, Nigeria very popular. The very most richer nation at that time in the 80s. Shemra Shehu Shagari was deceived by economic advisors from the UK. Then they stimulated this conversation. And at all, the lazy one, it started from Lagos, it started from Olushun, it started from your friend say other cities around the west, southwest, Nigeria, Lagos area. And when we started the agitation of foreigners Addo. At that time, Obi Oko in Nigeria, live Lagos. No Obi Oko Aba, Obi Oko Akwa Ibom State, Obi Oko Calabar, or Tako to Obi Anko. It was after. During almost 30 seconds of words, no. What we have run on the uncle and see the issue you buy yourself, your friend, the Shehu Shagari said, Monko, our pump, how do you call it? With a foreigners, if in Nigeria. I want to see a mass deportation. 1 year mass deportation, countries in a year, self repatriation. In under Jerry's time, I know this Shagari problem. I was quite a lot of person. Ghanaian articulators voluntarily, no more Pafaniaman, and over the Ghana for Dumbai. Look at the time, Cameroonians, Nigeria, you are now Prince Niku of Mbanga, the Obo Aki specialist, sweet mother.
Sweet mother, I.
Yes, whoever thought, everybody thought he was a Nigerian. There was no Nigerian musician except the friend is saying, Obaka Fela, and Sonny Okusu and others, and the musician over not done upon the high life, no mobile high life, Nigeria for that.
Sonny Okusu, or no, not band BFL Cloud 7.
Cloud 7, yes, Sonny Okusu. 7.
Hey,
yes, Cloud
7.
I mean, look at that time, no, the few Nigerians, the happiness in Nigeria, the music was this by this Cameroonian who is from Kumba, the southwest part of Nigeria, the west, the English part, Kumba, English part of Bakassi part of Nigeria. Only the big Nigeria. She said Nigeria for Pamahoko from 1981, 82, 83, and the start Nigeria for issue Sagari, Omukutunu, Yukutunu, Obasanjo, Buhari, and Agyapong. That was the beginning of Nigerian coup d'etat because they wanted an issue to state country and yet because not the value of Nigeria was bigger, the value of Nigeria, the budget of Nigeria was bigger than UK. The budget of Nigeria was bigger than most of the Commonwealth nations. You're talking about Australia, New Zealand. If Nigeria had maintained so-called the illegal, it was not illegal because we had the West African thing. The only thing that we didn't have with them, or they didn't have with us today, the right to work or the right to have an establishment without going through certain processes. But if you look at the Shushan, Nigeria ni ben and also Shushanda. Nigeria ni ben and also they are machine sinu and somebody comes from Nigeria. Ah, Pamo you or Yeminia. I do acquire Nigeria so they are fidelity in Congo. Should that come back and what they back? You from Kumasi those days who all bread move in Nigeria bar. President, that's why I'm winning president.
Hey, not a so light. And now or the Ekume. Galanti ya ni gina swebi no de my year bag brown no so aka no wo hye opanka
yes what I say and no that time no kwa no okwa enyombe no bo Nico of Mbanga
I mama who knows tomorrow baba
so look at how Nigeria people who came they were the first people the starters of this country's development. Ghanaians are free Nigeria band. They were the starters. Not those who went to Europe. Those who went to Europe. No, you know what you made back Romano and Yajuman or Europe when you scabi dying. The first Accra development, the first Kumasi development. Go and check the background. The last 40 years. Go and check the last 50 years. One more developed Ghana for Nigeria. This is how a country built.
Miami was despite. Who is also no or Nigeria and we be PMO. 83 bra yenko no ba ye no
don't go there you wouldn't like to get me
and now your program say ya no afre say menka o was say afre no 83 yenko ba ye no obeka togo se beni ho was say ayi bosumi be de ho no oda so hyem ho na ya to board mu onya akwan pie
amen
and that wo pie ye na enyina benya adwuma ye yi o
that is what I'm saying sir hustler man is the real worker. Hustler man is the real person who knows what is done. No, if you are to be or got an office and add figures in zeros. Family, beyond that, Nigeria very and now Mr. Man for better come be and Telano, who feel Nigeria by now calling himself to a hustler. The people knew that no, they can make life outside the country. They went back when Nigeria calmed down. They don't know how to be to do in Nigeria. A bit decided to move. Omo call back and then due to the Sahel route of free Nigeria, Akuffo Sokoto, Sopron, Agadas, Arlet, Asamaka, Eko Tamara said, Efa Tamara said, Black Port Gas, Libya, and then they stood in Libya. I can tell you on authority of numbers, more than 65-60% of Ghanaians in Europe all went through Libya. And they got to Europe without even a flight. They went through by road through Libya. We need people, we need passport. But they managed to go. They said the same way normal conduct immigration in Europe was relaxed. Come and look at it, sir. Today, every Ghanaian who lives in Canada, on authority, I'm challenging whoever lives there. Let Ghanaians in the 1980s, from 80s to the late 90s. Obi oti Canada be from Nigeria.
One more pow. Nitiuba Toronto haya. One more. Do the big as far as to Quebec. Saskatchewan.
It was easier. Now, Multimedia or passport if Lagos, Mutala International Airport, the Costa, the Babe Fenipa, and Canada that time needed people. Canadian population around was at that time around 6-7 million. Those days in the 80s.
In no class, Mibisa woman. Who's a say, whoa, but who rap province be province in the population, no more the Sikwa, Eddie Achero. And I mean, Bisa said, now woman in our crown, woman, yes, because Chrono Sopa with 6 different time zones. A big crababo. And I'm yes, I'm 28 million.
Can you imagine? Bigger than America. Bigger than America. Look at Canadian population. Which you call 1,000 kilometers now we're down back. Near farmer beer, government sponsor helicopter and a dinner and a command on their weekly basis. So they open up our cook room order and the command Canada and the later India for near the Adebekaya. So that time Canada probably need down more. And the mayor, I mean, Quebec coins, you know. One watch here, Obio crap paper, what Toronto Biano, or Quebec, because French upon your emergency, they wanted their country and Sana Chrétien. Of course, they want the number. And we open here. And when they got the more numbers, now the Africans, now be due home, Congolese, Ghanaians, Nigerians, then they wanted to push the agenda to have their country. And no Magraheb and Chrétien. And yes, as the so-called surprising elections in 1994. 1990, what around 92, Quebec or Canada. And then when they decided Quebec or Canada and Omi election, it was only one person, that is the Chrétien Prime Minister. Or no vote actually the difference. Can you believe this? Because Queen Adom in our Kukumo campaign said, say Canada could together. Now France is also a push agenda, Quebec for Quebec. And Umkoya agenda na kwame. Omi election now. One number difference, and on to Debbie, Yanya, and Kabum Union. Yes, sir. Now we hear Hogwarts. Into Hogwarts, what it could be. We can go on and on and on and on. Japanese, illegal migrants. That was America. Home in Japan. Turkish is one of the strong force in the world. Turkish are from Kofi, Germany, Switzerland, these 2 countries, Belgium, Holland, and they build the tech. Or Yahoo, illegal aliens, Roma, and the air technologies. What about the Chinese? Every Chinese in Europe in 1990, 1991, 1992, all of them were refugees. Refugees, asylum seekers in Berlin, in Köln, everywhere in Germany. These Chinese in the Naba and Omaba to talk and pity. All the German hotels or matter from them. These people were speaking German. Or the refugee were German. So before the Germans realize they are shocked. The restaurant being over Germany, Chinese were not doing that. This is how the country developed. Namun de kwa momote pako. Obi abebie salon. Eho na ubo uti. Winning table. Namun ni nyansa nka mokwa no. Banka Mali for man buti, Ghana for man yeti, Ghana for patesa. Oba yes mumbitin. Na nka moko se se di ha ye no social enterprise, social services. You see anyama, you see apprenticeship job no bi. Mechanic me mobility mo bodi Ghana ni could be a fitting shop. When you South African boy back cry, and you know the fan referee and happen. Now with the Mokaba and why you cross Nhyira. You know, so that kind of resistance and Protestant idea or character and say you feel Kruma because one in Obanyama, South African system or Banuska or why Magraheb free education or and one to get to Omen Yakima. Now the Soho Wabet now crew. Can there be a reason say or Jamie Gale? Can it be a reason say or by Jamie can it be the Waji apartment waiting here? And then American Bronx, what to be Black Americans a good Bronx. Black Americans a good your president, Brooklyn, any Queens, and then on Combe. Black Americans are Maryland, Hopkins area, Hona, Umutu Homosecraton, Cadenombe. I hope work that came 4x4, escalate 4x4. Not Black American with Nakwamu, or Wuzika, and Gomukan just young Mcbrown. A Juma Mayan, and I'm an Obayan, who Ruban, why you against Winyaki, Unye, or Wabaye, and how to acquire citizenship, how to acquire resident permit, how to live in any country. Family originates from illegality, and then you legalize. It is like that everywhere. Trump win and come my American president. Obama come my American president. Clinton win. Where are they from?
Alaji, young fan come away. Come here, dear, and say, Yeni aya de nyina ye MP for Asante Achim Central wohine Kwame Frimpong honorable na ye kire na rewa we mu wo skipo wo Holland abruchimam ye di na yedidi hu nkomo wo ha na no ye de ete ya ne se ye se wo mo de yakọ court na prince say extradite no to the US minimum san nkomo e ba ye say ye no kura say anya no kura minimum say what bi na nkyeremu ni say
I still feel very sad over the issue and very worried over the issue. Meaning, say, It's not about anything. It's about being a Ghanaian. It's not about anything. It's about saying, yes, our system, your system, every country's system is against certain crimes. However, unjustified, unproven crime. Na Ekoba say, in transiting a certain country, Ekoba say, Ebima give, he was already on wanted list. Ebima give, Omukra Baha, Intinia, Financial, Financial, top list. So, and you didn't quite know no. The whole thing, Kwame, settles and borders on the fact that was he already American phone kasa either than say yes, romance camp, either than say Nijin Abon Sembi Hono. The fact he extradited it does not mean a lot of people have also been extradited and they were just set free. Americans with the Madu, Akotna, America, temporary, your friend is a detention. Only prison or temporary detention. Because as saying the Omoba charges that, he charges the above papa. And if as a country, like I said, and I'll keep saying it, so a parliamentarian, for whichever reason or constituency, for whichever reason we are saying that the life of the constituency hangs on the neck of the parliamentarian to some extent. It's just like the country Ghana, President Nhyira, so he is holding as many as let's say 50,000 to 100,000 people under him. Let's say issue like this about. I'm still worried and I'm so surprised. The country Nankasani protest and then I hope it can be no yeah. That is what my focus. I'm looking at no beyond Mr. Kwame Frimpong. I'm looking at when my speaker will travel. I'm looking at when my majority speaker will travel. And I'm looking at when my minority whip or majority whip will travel, respectively. So, baby, no vision better say. On any issue in Nicaragua. You know, Kwame, you're thinking of into a say organ for MPs there. Close to our broche could be more because the man Jembe Basso. A home could have a problem. They ended up becoming an MP who come her. Emma, and conform to obey MP, no, only to throw out there. The BCC President Kopotan, the BCC other presidents, the return in the BCA. But depending on the government of the day, and depending on how the Ghana government look at the case. So yes, much as America foresee our problem, Ghana will not go in there because we need proof to disprove them. But the capacity, anything that the country should show, resistance to some extent, called the defense. So what's the Ghana? The Ghana put through, meaning or it's already faced the tradition like you're telling me. But if the country has shown seriousness and has shown a certain attitude, approach, man, what's there? Holland, the Netherlands, they are very flexible countries. They have one of the best flexibility in terms of the human laws. Very easy country. Shawomo prison, after when European Union contact the permanent crime already 7 years of Yemen, Holland, and 9 months. And if you are dealing with such a country, an American for require request for somebody to be indicted, or somebody to be arrested, one issue no buy, meaning lawyer Ben Kudinaho. Make the Oman Kasa and then a business for and a fight a pair lawyer. The government represents it be a mission, no, and no quite may say, baby, or one crown to the sense that yes, Yamagana mission, Yamagana, it will be Amaho. Holland, no, it is not possible. In matters like this, you know, the Ghana ambassador to Holland, you petition straight away. 2 minutes of foreign affairs. Minister of Kwadwo is very swift and very sharp when it comes to things like this, because Estonia will be we would have expected in certain situations, if not for anything at all. The person in the situation is the Minister of Gov't, a parliamentarian. One would have expected the same access and the same support. The same access and the same support. Regardless, let us not win, but let us show a matter of seriousness. Did we do that? No. And we didn't. We did not. It is the ambassador who can call the baby or detention center. The question Kwame therefore stands there. The person was holding the diplomatic passport. Leave the immunity aside because he was not traveling on service as they claim. But that is even not the case of the international law. Who create diplomatic passport and the first and first thing to do is as an emission. Even to come and agree and come and prove and come and certify and then validate and passport include diplomatic status, and diplomatic passport. Did we do that? The mission no kwa no kwa at no given point cross to call and go bit Makata Ghana missions the head of missions near Mount Meshano. And the only person granted what I had permission to go and see him was his lawyer, a country and a parliamentarian, where they nipa over 50,000 guineas. Where is the parliament? Where is the Ghana parliament? Where is the privileged committee of the parliament? In matters like this, do you have laws? What attempts do you make? When did they invite the Holland, the Netherlands? Did they invite the embassy? I believe no. Overturn diplomatic call, sorry call. Did the foreign ministry question him? Did they put him on the corridor? Not even before everybody on the corridors for the minister to discuss with him. So what are we approaching? Did we make an attempt at country? No? Yes, hear me a law because Ghana mission was the lawyer. Ghana, every embassy in this world, Ghana ambassador, Ghana mission in Holland, Netherlands, or lawyer. Ghana mission in Belgium, or lawyer. Did they go there? Did we as a country instruct them to go there and support the private lawyer? Now, no, my partner said, the two lawyers, they didn't have. Rather than the person that has to fight his own fight, or in the good name, a crime, as most people say, country and so, so, yeah, so they're not so crime. Me, I don't want to know what is done. I'm talking as a Ghanaian. A bit my two, I don't care. What kind of one in say, Lord, no one is a bit, no crest, bibia, and in but now in a situation, said you leave your member of parliament, and I said, and I mentioned on our family program, said the constitutional crisis that they create. Is that what Ghana was looking for? Seriously, we were waiting for another by-election. So if in case he has been finally extradited to America, then say potentially, he's not coming today or tomorrow until he goes through the court proceedings. And America, but you free baby, and I'm the Holland the Ghana government, Kwaku, and of course, will not allow you to extradite him, but we allow you to only surrender. Then he comes to America, being surrendered as a member of parliament from Ghana over issue a crime, significant crime, some drugs in Japan, and that's why I indicted around the world over pedophilia and as a rape case. So yeah, any of them, yeah, the government Ghana, the least they could have done, as I suggested, we could have forced the Netherlands that if it's a tradition, we resist. Because we don't have that even with us. And it's a third party. The American foreign Holland foreign also them, it's our citizens. You use all kinds of international protocols and force the system. We need the world extradition in film. Number one, surrender. Then they can talk to Kwame and say, look, this is the case. Surrender. It means, you didn't go to New York. What many baby are some didn't back up? Say to be on Chicago, whatever. What didn't be in New York because New York never has to enter first. And they should have forced the system for him to be surrendered. And this woman surrender now. Kwame and the poison, less than facing what? Extradition. Because extradition there, like I said, something, the gravity of it, and the gravitas of that, and so he said, but Nipaneban was a criminal person. But in any case, and no crime exacerbated the pressure on the case. I've read in the American court that he was extradited. He said he was on certain warrant, he was on this, he was on that, and he was wanted, he was fugitive. American prosecutors, you'll be shocked. But this is not the case. This is not the case. In the Gaza country, and all what we are trying to say, Mr. Kwame, through your medium, politicians is one of your own, whether good or bad. Long as one kumnipa, long as the one you we, not long as in the name of parliament, the beer said Wakudi Boneno. Yes, when leaving your own child, when you are battling the bag, don't throw the bad water with the child. You don't do that. In the country, no one handling the position. And I'm glad to mention that. Which is the American senator, American congressman, Japanese congressman, Japanese senator, German parliamentarian, Bundestag, leader, member of Bundestag, a German parliamentarian, Obra, and the Belgium, another Holland, another American, and any country, and will be Ghana, BB Satra. Do you think the mission better? Do you think that the country will sit down without protest, regardless of whatever the person has done? And I've given a lot of examples. Munkobus at the Holland, which country has really gone to do a business exchange around the world for their citizens? Committed rape charges, the whole Holland, South Philippines, Thailand, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Southeastern Asian countries, Indonesia and others. They pay ransom money to take their citizen one. Obedru Penny Jano. And if you say the outback, Holland cannot sit and tell Ghana and say, yeah, Mamu Meshano Kra, to that extent. Simply, who does that? Which country allows that? Someone saying,
Allow me from Combo CBB and Yabasaba and Chawai.
Yaminka Mokam.
Now, as soon as you foul.
Kwame you Yamin, inshallah, Yamitiasi. Why?
Alaji Farouk Al Wahab, international diplomatic consultant, and I know.
Okay, FM. Okay, 101.77.